Hi. So, in continuation of a discussion about qualitative research, I thought it would be useful for us to go through a discussion guide which we have used in practice. This was for the children's candy, a jelly candy, right? And the respondent is not actually the child because the respondent the product is meant for small children. So the respondent's mother who was the child's mother who was the respondent for the study, right? So this is what we call a depth interview, one-on-one interview. We also call it a free-flowing conversation because the real insight comes from intelligent probing and kind of thing, right? So since I'm using Word document here, I guess I will increase the zoom a little bit so that it becomes more visible for you. I don't have a pointer, right? So to begin with, we start with introduction. Please introduce yourself. How many members are there in your family? What does each of them in your family do? What do you do? What does your spouse do? Are you both working? So try to get familiar, try to get comfortable with them, right? Then we ask them about the daily routine, right? We'll try to sort of understand them better as people, and also get them more comfortable talking about themselves. Yeah, my child is very naughty, my child is very playful. Child wakes up at 5 in the morning, child's school starts at 7, so I have to get up early, cook breakfast and pack lunch for the child, and then I go back and take some rest, and then I come back to cook breakfast for the rest of the family, etc., etc., etc. Just to get them into the groove of talking very comfortably types, right? So no, I'll do it, no problem. So now we start talking about the children. How old are they? Can you tell me the child's daily routine? When do they get up? And when does school start? Before school, is there some morning exercise? Is there a morning walk? Is there a morning puja? Do they have breakfast? Do they have a proper breakfast? Right? After school, do they go for dance or tuition or sports or IIT coaching or etc. etc.? Not IIT coaching at a small age, but yeah. If yes, how many weeks do they go in for these things? What do they have for weekends? Do they wake up late on weekends? Is there a movie? Are there sports? I mean, do they go cycling? Do they go playing cricket? Do they go to a library? So on and so forth, right? And then what we have found is that, very often these people, it's a peculiarly Indian thing that 90% of Indians, though they're extremely ambitious for themselves, once a child is born, their ambition and aspiration sort of shifts to the child. After that, Indians generally tend to be like, no, actually, what I'm doing for my child to have a good future. I want my child to study well. That's a typical Indian parent's aspiration. I want my child to study well, get a good degree, get a good job, be comfortable in life, not to face any of the kind of hardships that I have faced, and so on and so forth. It's a very Indian quality. This bit about suppressing one's own ambition for children, right? So we find that this is a good way to get them talking about, what are the key things you want for the child, what do you want them to be in life, and for that, what do you want them to change. And from this, we go into child's health and lifestyle. So how the health generally, do they eat well, right? What kind of foods do they like? The child asks you to buy something which you do not approve of. Very often kids have too much of chocolates or too much of ice cream, right? And very often the parent has to, give it, otherwise the child gets unpleasant. The pester power, something called pester power, which you learn in marketing. Children's capacity to say, I want, and eventually parents agree. It's called pester power. Okay? And the next thing becomes, do they fall ill often? Do they catch a cold or fever easily from the friends? Whenever they get wet in the rain? Do they have a dust allergy, right? Do they get stomach pain and indigestion often, right? Do they have a problem with the eat? I'm sorry, I think I've not yet got the hang of this. If they eat or snack outside, headaches, frequently constipated, kind of stuff, right? So we're trying to understand that, the small problems that children do go through. Now from this, we are leading to the topic of vitamin and other deficiencies. The study is about a product which can address these things. right? So now we've got them talking about, we hear quite a bit about vitamin and other deficiencies in children, example B12, iron deficiency, etc. Is this something that you have heard of? Is this something that you are conscious about when it comes to your children, right? So if they say, if you remember, I said earlier that bold and caps is an instruction that the person asking the questions. So ask if they say yes. So, and ordinary sentence cases, so what do you do then? Do you give them medication? What kind of medicines do you give? Medicine could be Digene, could be just hot water, could be Jeera water, right? Traditional home remedies. And then we talk about, what kind of products should they take specifically for the child's health. So health drink. So health drink is what we normally call Horlicks, Bonvita, Boost kind of products are called health drinks. And there are two categories. There's white. Horlicks is a white drink. It is supposed to be a milk substitute. And then you have Boost and Bonvita. This is called brown drinks, right? Which are supposed to be milk additive. So at one time these were called milk food drinks, MFD. Now the term has changed and they're called health drinks. So I grew up calling it a milk food drink. Grew up in my career calling it a milk food drink. Today the term is health drink, right? Do you give them tonics? You know what a tonic is, right?
Yeah.
We all have had some tonics for general energy. Orange for iron and so on and so forth. Chyawanprash. Many Indian families believe that Chyawanprash builds immunity. Yes, you have a question? Can you be a little louder, otherwise your voice would come.
What is Chyawanprash?
Chyawanprash is a traditional paste, right? It origin is in Ayurveda. It is a paste that you make. There are many ingredients to it. The primary ingredient is amla. Okay. Chyawanprash is, I can vouch for it personally. It's very powerful in terms of it builds immunity, it gives energy and strength and stamina, right? It gives vitality, and so that's the product. And now Chyawanprash, you can have Dabur brand of Chyawanprash, you can have Zandu brand of Chyawanprash, you can have the Kottakkal Ayurveda Shala, the traditional Ayurveda clinics of Kerala. The Kottakkal Ayurveda Shala, their own version of Chyawanprash. There are many brands of Chyawanprash. There was a time, back in many homes, people used to make Chyawanprash in their home. Protein biscuits, many of you would have had Tryptin biscuits. And there's protein supplements, of course, right? Calcium supplements, vitamin tablets. Many people have Becosuls, B12 tablets, iron supplements, right? People have memory aids, you might have heard of a product called omega-3. It's supposed to be good for memory. It comes from fish oil. Cod liver oil products. 7 Seas is a product that people might have heard of. Zinc vitamins. Zinc is supposed to build immunity. Probiotics is a very hot topic for the past 10 years, right? Yogurt, probiotics. Probiotics are products that, that support the good bacteria in our system and therefore build our immunity types. So, do you give your child any of this is the question. And going forward, how does your child respond to this? Does the child say, I don't want to have it, you have to force him, right? Is there something that, or the child says, I like that, it's tasty. Like, if you give a small child Chyawanprash, they may not like the paste, they may not like the consistency of the product, but they may like a toffee, right? So there are challenges in giving a child, a product which is good for the child. As for each of this, which brand do you buy? Where do you normally buy it from? Do you realize it's quite an exhaustive set of questions? I'm going through it, like an express train. But actually asking this and getting the answers, by now we would have spent about 15 minutes with every respondent. The entire interview will take about 45 minutes. The respondent has to be patient. Right? So the child eats fruits and vegetables. We all know that many children don't eat vegetables. Right? If they do, they don't like the vegetables that are truly good for them. They don't like carrots. They don't like greens. Right? And milk. Right? And so on and so forth. Okay. There are mothers who don't like to give these kind of supplementary products to their children. What happened to my... it's coming. There are mothers who don't like to give supplementary products to the children. They're like, my child should be natural. All this is artificial. There are parents whose attitude is that my child doesn't eat vegetables, doesn't eat milk, seems to have a low immunity. Therefore, I need to give the child supplement. There's a different points of view. I'm not going to which is correct or which is wrong, but both of the points exist. So here, there's a concept card. Okay, the concept card is about the new product which is going to be launched in the market. Okay, and then we have a questions about what you think about this concept. Can you please tell me what are the things that you dislike in this concept? Why don't you like those points? What you like about the concept? Why do you like them? How relevant would it be for your child? Is this something that you think is going to be useful and relevant for your child? Right? Is this concept different from what is there in them? I'm not going to tell you what the concept is, by the way, it's confidential. Right? Do you find the claims believable? See, very often people say, wow, it's awesome. It's great, I like it. But is it really true? Which is where the believability aspect comes in. Right? And then this product is built around this thing called gummy bears, jelly-based toffee. So, what do you think about the word product? What does it suggest to you? And what do you understand by the word chewable? What do you understand by the word chewable?
It won't stick.
Yeah, but chewable is really, you don't have to chase it down with water. You can chew it and you can absorb the ingredients, right? So this particular chewable product has got 5 variants. Alright? Multivitamins, iron plus vitamins, zinc, calcium plus vitamin D, and probiotics. Okay? So each of this, which you think is more useful, which is less useful, right? So does this address all the nutritional needs for your child? Is there anything else that you would like apart from what is already here? Okay, so that we are focusing on, we are showing you the product. Do you like the idea? Do you think it's useful? Do you think it's unique? Do you believe in it? There are 5. Which of them do you like more? Is there something else apart from these 5 that you would like? Right? And then the product form is a soft chewy. It's not like a medicine. It's something hopefully the child will say, I want to eat it. So what do you think about that? Okay. And then most importantly, there's a product saying this product works best when it's consumed regularly. Do you see your children doing this regularly? We all know children will say, I like it. After 2 weeks, they'll say, I'm bored, I don't want that anymore. This product needs, compliance, needs a continuous consumption. Right? So, the first few questions about how often the child, who all, etc., is setting the background, understanding the concept. But after this is when we actually show the concept and get reaction to the concept. So, this bit that we just saw, section 4, reaction to the concept, is actually the core of the study. This is going to tell us, is the idea welcome or not welcome? Now, in this particular study, we also had questions about pack design, but that's more of the same, right? So I don't really want to take you through that because I wanted you to have a sample of how a concept test works, how a discussion like works. I've got an idea of this. Any other questions on this? So, what is is it evident that we are measuring the likability overall, the relevance of the benefit, the uniqueness of the benefit, the believability, and the product form? Does the mother think that the product form is suitable, or does she want a syrup or something like that? And does the mother think the child will stay with it? Okay, so far, to get an idea of how discussion guide works, do you notice we don't have any recording formats, we don't have any codes. The entire discussion is asked, the person replies, and the entire thing is audio recorded. So the moderator is totally focusing on what the respondent is saying, and if necessary, the moderator is free to go, a little forward, a little back, so on and so forth. Right? You have an idea of the subject here? Okay. So shall we close this particular topic here?